Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very pleased to have Kurt Busch on the podcast with me. And let me tell you about Kurt. He is a certified Internal Family Systems Practitioner, trauma-informed coach, and co-founder of Brimstone Coaching Group. With a background spanning corporate leadership, pastoral ministry, and coaching, Kurt helps leaders break free from self-doubt, embrace authenticity, and lead with confidence. Having overcome his own struggles with imposter syndrome, Kurt is passionate about guiding others through transformational growth and authentic leadership through Brimstone's unique E+R=T approach, which is encounter plus reflection equals transformation. Kurt equips individuals and teams to move from exhaustion and frustration to clarity and wholeness. He is also the co-host of the Brimstone Coaching podcast, where he and his coaching partner explore leadership, personal growth, and breaking through barriers. So we're going to talk about an interesting topic, and it is how do leaders invest in themselves? So please join me in welcoming my guest, Kurt Busch. Kurt, so happy to have you on. You know, I always like to talk about leadership.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Vicki. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So as I always do, I ask you what I always say are easy questions, and then people just prove me wrong. But the first one is, what part of the country do you live in? Where do you call home?
Yep. So I live in Northwest Iowa, in Sioux County, Iowa. This is right in the corner of the state where Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, South Dakota all kind of meet. We're just tucked right up there in the corner of Iowa.
Yeah, it never snows there, right?
It snows so much, and
I
it's
know.
windy all the time. It's windy all the time. It's windy all the
I
time.
know.
Yeah. I mean, like July and August are amazing. The rest of the year is kind of rough.
Well, I told you at the beginning before we started that I'm from Pittsburgh originally, and I used to always say, I said, summer, it's the end of June to August.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
And
right.
sometimes you don't even get June. It's just July and August. That's it.
Yep, that's right.
And so you have to just, and it can snow till April.
Oh man, it can snow into May here for
I know.
sure. Yeah, we always joke like the settlers here must have found it in like July when it's perfect. And by the time they realized, oh man, this is terrible, they were already settled and couldn't go anywhere.
I always say Chicago does that to you. If you go in the summer, you think, "Oh my God, this lake is so gorgeous. It's like being at the ocean. It's wonderful, and it's so much to do, and the food, and the walking, and everything." And then you get to,
Yep.
1st of September or October, and it snows, or the wind starts, and you're thinking,
Yep.
"Oh my God, what did I do?"
Yep. This is
Nothing
most
against.
of
I love
Iowa.
Chicago people. I love it, but it's just too cold for me.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I gave a lot of what you are doing now and all your accolades of the great things you're doing. But I always want my guests to talk about their journey because I think it's important that the audience understand that it isn't an overnight success, that there was hard work, there were failures, there were, oh my gosh, aha moments that caused you to change and pivot, and you survived it. So I'd love for you to share your story.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I have a weird story. My personality, I like change. I don't always love what comes with change, but I do like new things. I
Mhm.
like trying new things. I like change in seasons, that sort of thing. I've kind of walked through a lot of change. I started working for a pretty large manufacturing company as just a kid. I was just a kid working for a large company. I had a lot of really good opportunities. I worked in HR. I was responsible for all of the hourly labor recruiting. By the time that I left, I had spent some time in production supervision, leading a team of people that way, and also back in HR doing benefits administration, all of those fun HR things
Mm,
that the HR people right now are like, yes, and everybody else in the world is like, no, that
no.
sounds terrible. It's a special breed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I went from there. I actually went into seminary, and I think in that moment of going into seminary as an adult, I started to uncover a lot of stuff in me that was making me feel exhausted.
Mm.
I remember as a 30 something year old parent, or not a parent, yeah, parent. I had kids. I'm the parent. Um, I remember just feeling so out of place.
Mm.
I had never been in an academic institution like this before. I remember submitting papers. It was a distance program. I remember hovering over the submit button, thinking that every paper, this was going to be the one that they find out that I don't belong.
Mm.
And this is going to be the one where they ask me to leave.
Mm.
Making the house of cards fall, right? And I think the pivot came when I just realized that that was not sustainable, right? That was exhausting,
Mm.
and just not something I could keep doing, not something I wanted to keep doing. Nobody wants to feel exhausted.
Right.
Nobody wants to
Right.
feel out of place. So I think that I had a really good friend. This good friend became my coaching partner now. He's my business partner now.
Mm.
He would ask me all sorts of good questions about like why do you think you're going to be found out as an imposter? Why do you think they're going to kick you out when you submit this paper? I actually did really well in seminary, but that imposter syndrome says you don't belong, and they whoever they are is going to find out.
Yeah.
I think the other major pivot point for me was in a season of leading in a church. I was sort of the second leader. I was not the primary leader of the organization. I would call my now business partner. This is like a decade ago. I
Mm.
would call him and I would vent, like we all are prone to do and need to do sometimes. And I'd be like, you wouldn't believe what happened in this meeting. You wouldn't believe what this person said. And my friend would listen really well, like a good friend does.
Mm.
And then he asked me one question. He asked, "What is your contribution in this situation?" And the first two times I remember thinking, didn't you hear me tell you? Nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm perfect. The problem is these other
And
people.
everybody else.
It's everybody else. So I think the real pivot for me came when I started to realize that I play a role in the situations that I find myself in. Like I find a role or I play a role in dysfunction of the systems that I lead,
Yeah.
right? And that was really a pivot point for me that said, I can spend a lot of time blaming the systems that I lead or blaming people or wanting people to do things differently, or I could invest time in myself and change the way I show up in those
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that really falls a lot along the lines of what our theme is today, because really, when you start to have that aha moment, that realization, self-awareness,
Yeah.
you're tapping into your female energy and your emotional intelligence to realize okay, what do I need to do to
Yeah.
change? And I love that you say you embrace change. To me, it's change is unknown, but it also can be exciting and
Yeah.
it makes you more creative, more innovative if you come with the right mindset, right? So
Yeah.
investing in yourself, I think, is so very important. So that leads us to you talked about your partner several times. So
Yeah.
why did you launch your Brimstone coaching business?
Yeah, so my partner Chris Godfredson and I, we've been friends again for nearly a decade. We met in seminary, and he and I have been doing some form of coaching work together, but separately, right? Together, but individually for the better part of that decade. We have had good coaches that have poured into us. We've both been fortunate enough to work for organizations that have invested in us to say, here's a leadership coach for you.
Mm,
And we just have seen the work that we do with people now. We've seen it work in our own lives.
mm,
And we felt like we wanted to invest more of our lives into this work because of the impact that it's had on us.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so we'd been doing some sort of coaching for the better part of a decade, but just recently, January of 2024, we decided, hey, we're going to do this thing for real. We're going to actually formalize the work we get to do together. We're going to create some content ourselves. We're going to write our own song, if you will, when it comes to our own coaching philosophy. And we're going to make a go of a coaching practice as partners.
Mm,
We love the work we'd been doing together again, but kind of individually, and we wanted to do more together.
yeah.
So we launched it January 1st of 24. Last fall, I stepped into it full time. I stepped away from previous roles and now focus on this full time.
Which is always a scary thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That change is pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it wasn't as scary because I was retired. I had my retirement to fall back on, but you do I think you almost have to, even for all of you that are retired out there and thinking, "Oh, I should do a second generation or second career." I highly encourage it, but I think you should always act as if you don't have any
Yeah.
money coming in but that job.
Yes. Yes. Because there will be a season where you have no money coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We asked the question, Vicky. Chris and I, we always ask the question, like, what do we want to give our lives to? And, I know that sounds exaggerated, but that really is how we think about this.
Yeah.
And the work of helping leaders transform and grow, that is the work that
Yeah.
we want to devote our lives to.
Yeah. Same here. Same here. You just can't see people that you could help and not want to help them.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, I could have taken retirement one way, but I just thought that if you can give back, you should give back and share your talents and you
I
know.
love that.
So talk about the role and how was whenever you start something, how do we show up today as adults? What do we do to make sure that we show up in a good light and not
Yeah.
someone that people won't even see?
Yeah. I mean, I think if I'm understanding your question correctly, you can always stop me if I'm misunderstanding
Hmm.
your question. But I think what's been true for me and for Chris, and I think what's true for all of us as adults, is that most of us show up in spaces and places in ways that we do out of an autopilot or a default place.
Right, right.
We show up into hard board meetings, or we show up into difficult employee conversations, or we respond to our kids in when family life is hard. We respond in those ways, not often out of our best thinking, but we respond in those ways that we've learned to respond over the course of our
Yeah.
lives. And I think what's true is that most of us, most adults don't even question those things. And that doesn't make those adults bad. I think that just is. I
Mhm.
remember feeling in seminary when I felt like an imposter. I remember very clearly thinking, well, this is just what it means to be an adult, right? This is just what it means to be a high level leader. Like it's just gonna be hard and suck. Like I
Mhm.
remember thinking that.
Mhm.
I don't know that our nervous systems allow us to imagine a different way until someone can help us see a different way.
Right.
Now, I think a lot of those defaults, I don't think, I believe deeply that those defaults come from our first formation.
Hmm.
That when we are like elementary to high school age,
Absolutely.
you could probably make a case that it goes up to 25 till our brains stop developing. But
Mhm.
we have these encounters, these experiences that cause us to feel pain or embarrassment or bullied or whatever it is, or we have an experience that causes us to feel deep achievement or deep accomplishment or proud, or we get a pat on the back, and our nervous system learns how to get those feelings again or to how to avoid those feelings again.
Right. Right.
So what we say is that most of the ways we show up as adults are really based on those first formation ways, even if today's experiences have nothing to do with those.
Absolutely.
Can I give you an example?
Hmm.
I I uh I was a really good speller in third grade. Like my small town, I was gonna crush the spelling bee, Vicky. Uh, I and when I say small town, like 100 kids in a spelling bee, and I was gonna dominate this thing. And I remember being as clear as day. I remember being in the final round of the spelling bee, me and two other kids, and I got the word farm, which is really wild. I don't know what the 90s were like and why farm was a third grade word to spell. That's really easy. But
Hmm.
I got farm and I was ready to crush it. And I said farm, F-R-A-M, farm. And
Oh,
I don't know if you know about
no.
spelling bees, but when you get it wrong, a bell ring, like the hotel bell, the little ding,
Hmm.
ding, that bell rang and I was crushed. And I knew immediately that I flipped those two letters. And what third grade Kurt learned was that this was really embarrassing.
Yeah.
Third grade Kurt learned that classmates were going to laugh at me.
Yeah.
Third grade Kurt learned that even my family who like thinks it's a joke because I'm laughing too, but it really hurts, right?
Hmm.
Third grade Kurt learned how to not be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Now, third grade Kurt needed that, right? Third grade Kurt, fourth grade, fifth grade needed the protection to say, I'm going to be real careful not to be embarrassed because the results are hard.
Hmm.
35, 40-year-old Kurt doesn't need that same protection, right? But until I can do the work to tell my nervous system to hold up a mirror and say, I don't need that same protection today, I'll just keep doing it the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Um, and that's really the problem. Maybe that's too strong a word, but that's really where leaders get stuck is they just
Yeah.
show up today as their third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade selves instead of their present day selves.
Yeah. And, that's one of the reasons I coach in leadership and public speaking, and I
Mm,
work with adults and kids. And I
yeah.
love my work with the kids because, I get those 30-year-old adults that remember
Yeah.
that moment all the way back. And sometimes, as young as 7 and 8 years
Yeah.
old, where you're, in first and second grade and you're just thinking, you got it. You aced through pre-K and
Yeah.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
And now you have to get up and somebody laughs at you.
Yep. Yep.
And that all the way, you remember that all the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. Our bodies, our nervous systems are amazing at protecting us. And
Yeah.
and that's great until it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you have things that you need to use your voice for as a leader. You have to you can't be a great leader unless you're creative and innovative. And that takes the courage to know that you might have a stupid idea.
Yeah.
You might you might be way off base. You might have not even heard
Yeah.
clearly what that was being asked, and you came up with this response or comment, and it's totally off base, but you didn't die from it.
That's
You
right.
weren't put in jail. You weren't
Yeah.
fired unless you
Yeah.
have a jerk for a boss, and then that was probably the best thing that ever happens to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you have to just get over it.
Yeah. I think you're so right, Vicky. I mean, I will say it like this, that when we think about a leadership situation where someone's maybe sitting in a boardroom or around a conference room table or leading a group of people, the organization needs every voice around that
Mhm.
table. And I think I would even go as far to say I don't think it's a stretch to say that the world needs every voice.
Absolutely.
So when these things get in the way and I mean, this is so common when these first formation things get in the way and people start to withhold their voice, uh, the world is missing out,
Mm,
right? And I think that's the key is if I'm honest, we work for organizations and we do say organizations need all the voices. If I'm honest, I really don't care as much about the organizations as much as I care about changing the world. I think true voices, uh, the world just needs your voice and my voice and everybody else's voice.
right. And and to, when you talk about investing in yourself, so you're investing in your skills so that, you can become that subject matter expert about whatever you love or whatever, you're driven to do, but you need to also invest in your belief that it's okay to fail.
Yeah, yeah,
And
100%.
and that's not that's like a full-time job because you
Yeah,
were constantly every day of your life you get to be good at something and then you push yourself what you want to do to
yeah,
something harder, different that you don't know. And
yeah,
that's why I love working with entrepreneurs that are creating something brand new, that there's no roadmap.
yeah,
They're making it, and they know that they're going to have to make a misstep or try and fail, try and fail, try and fail until they get it right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there's such a great example for all those people out there that have one failure and think they should just hide in a shell somewhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree, 100%.
So, what difference does it make that a leader is working towards wholeness versus faking it till you make it? I love that.
Yeah. I mean, man, Vicky, if I had $1 for every time somebody said that to
I
me or
know.
I heard someone say it, and I get the intent of it. I don't know that everybody is meaning it the way that I hate it. But I think what's true is faking it till you make it is exhausting, right?
Mm,
I mean, there is a way to think about this to say, I'm gonna walk over the bridge while I build it. I'm gonna fake it, meaning I'm gonna put myself in a position and I'm gonna learn as I go. I often just don't think that's what we mean by fake it till we make it. So I think it's exhausting to be in a spot where we have to try to fake it till we make it. I think what's so often the case is that each of us are working two jobs. Most of us, dare I say all of us, go into the places we lead or the places we work or the places we raise a family or whatever it is, and we're doing the thing that we're responsible for. We're doing the thing an organization pays us for. That's our primary job.
right,
But
right.
but we're also doing this second job of hiding and
Mm,
making sure that we don't get found out and making sure that John over there doesn't think I'm stupid, or we're doing the second job of making sure Tammy, my boss, doesn't think I'm incompetent, or making sure I don't embarrass myself in a meeting. Those are things that take energy away from
mm,
what we're there to do. Again, whether it's in a boardroom or at home, that second job is actually not just exhausting us, but it's causing us to do that primary role in a subpar way.
Right.
So we really do believe that whole leadership looks like giving more and more attention and focus and energy to the actual primary leadership that we're there to give, not this sort of fake it. What do I have to do to stay safe? What do I have to do to be seen well? What do I have to do to get accolades? What do I have to do to not be found out? Right? That really is diminishing our impact from that primary role.
Mm. And I think it's important for the leaders out there to embrace their role as a mentor to the people that are working with them, for them. Or, a lot of times I mentor people that I just, want to invest in them to help them grow. So
Yeah.
I think, but it's important that as you respond to them, and this could be an area where you need to invest time, coaching, training, to be able to be that listening board that's not judgmental, that allows them to really fully express themselves.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, maybe talk it through to the point that they come up with a solution and you don't have to say
Yeah.
a word.
Yeah.
But and I think it's more growth for both parties in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. There's an author by the name of Ruth Haley Barton.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Ruth? Do you know
Mm-hmm.
the name? Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase, but she has said in one of her books, I don't remember which book. It's so terrible, but it's so terrible I don't remember, I should say. She has said if a leader is not intentionally investing in themselves, they are disqualified from leadership. And I think what she's doing is inviting, not condemning. But I think her point is if a leader is not doing the work to be mentored, to share, all the things you just said about the mentee, if the leader can't do that themselves, the people they are trying to lead will never be able to do it, right? If a leader cannot open up and be vulnerable and authentic, the people they lead will never do that. I think that's the beauty of investing in oneself is that it actually permeates an organization. It actually permeates the people that we try to lead.
That is so true. Leading by example is just so
Yeah,
very important. And I always tell kids and adults, you never know who's watching.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
and the hardest thing for us to do, because in times of stress and all, is when our natural behavior happens, and that takes a
Yeah,
long time to change. It's
absolutely.
that slow moving ship in the ocean. And
Yeah.
so the sooner that you have that self-awareness, the sooner you understand it, you can begin the journey of change.
Yeah. Yeah. We like to say once you see something, you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah.
Once I see that I'm showing up as third grade Kurt, once I see it, I have a choice. I can
Mhm.
either continue to do it, continue to do the things I've always done, or I get to invest in the change. And to your point, I wish it was overnight. It's not,
No.
right? We spend decades doing these things. We spend decades of our nervous system protecting ourselves against embarrassment, failure, whatever it is. And it just takes a long time to undo those.
Yeah. And I guess the final lesson would be that it has that compound effect. So you don't need to change huge pieces of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to invest in tons and tons of dollars to make a change. It's just the little things that you do day after day after day, hour after hour, that over time will make the change that you're seeking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's, as we said, it's just not overnight.
Yeah, I have a client that I coach who happens to be a pastor. He would tell a story about him trying to cultivate curiosity. So in meetings where anxiety is high, he began the practice of saying, "Would you say more about that?" to whoever was anxious. And that was his way of like trying to calm himself, trying to get a full picture instead of reacting, instead of trying to have all the answers. And what he would tell you and I today is that over the course of a couple of years, now his volunteer leaders are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
right? His volunteer leaders are saying to each other, hey, would you say more about that? Right?
Mhm.
Not even to him. He's not even doing it. They're saying it to each other. So
Mhm.
I do think even just those little bitty things
Yeah.
over the course of time really do make a big difference.
Well, you and I could chat for hours and hours on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So enjoyed our conversation today. And if the audience out there, if you have as well, and you think, well, I think I need to talk to Kurt a little bit more and check out this Brimstone group or coaching group, you're going to want to get the screenshot. If you're just listening, you know that all the information is on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. So the website is brimstonecoachinggroup.com. Again, Brimstone, that's Brimstone, coachinggroup.com. Facebook is the same, Brimstone Coaching Group. LinkedIn, you can search his name, Kurt Busch. Bunch of numbers, just search Kurt Busch. You see his face. If you're just
Yep.
listening, just trust me. And you can go to his website and get all of these as well if you are so inclined. Instagram is Brimstone Coaching, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kurt Busch to talk to you about things that they put out on his website, as well as where he spends the most time in social media. And one other thing on his website, he has a great free guide that I mentioned in this posting here, managing your anxiety. So I'll let Kurt take it over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so our social medias as a coaching practice, Facebook and Instagram are our primary practice social medias. We post a lot from our podcasts. We try to use that as a place to help people kind of get to know who we are. Um, we understand that coaching is a huge investment. That when people trust us and invest in the work that they do with us, that is not nothing. So Facebook and Instagram are primary places where people that are curious can come and see who are these people, what do they value, what are their sort of guiding principles, what do they hold dear as a coaching practice. LinkedIn is my personal LinkedIn. This is sort of where we sort of, Chris and I both on our personal LinkedIn share kind of what we're learning and how we're processing what we're learning together and how that impacts our coaching philosophy. Yeah, thanks for mentioning the anxiety guide, the managing your anxiety guide. That's free on the website. I would also say we have a book coming out July 1st. You can find more information about that on our socials and on our website as it gets closer to July 1st too.
Awesome. Kurt, again, thank you so much for being a great guest. We'll have to do this again after your book comes out to chat a little bit about your book, maybe in September, October. And as always, I remind the audience that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.